Danielle, I got to say, you are, if not the perfect representation of jiu-jitsu, without a doubt. I teach Brazilian jiu-jitsu and I have a lot of female students come in. They're very shy, very intimidated, because it can be quite confronting. But can you talk to me a little bit about your journey into Brazilian jiu-jitsu? And if I remember, you started at 10. What was that first introduction like for you?
Yeah, so I started actually like around 9 years old. I first started at a karate school, but I think it was during a time when like karate schools and like now jiu-jitsu school, like before jiu-jitsu got popular, they were doing like both classes. So when I did my first class, so like at 9 years old, I did like a few classes going over like wrist locks, how to break the wrist or double leg takedown. Like that's when I learned like my first I guess takedowns and defense. But it was like a quick class. It was like I only learned like 30 minutes of it, but I was a kid, so obviously I forgot like some of the technique. But I did learn like the how to break like the wrist grip if they grab your wrist. That's like the
Yeah.
only thing I remember. So like 6 months later, we moved to like a nicer area from Philadelphia, and then we moved to like a suburban Pennsylvania area, not too far from Philly. And then from that new school, it was way bigger than the city school I was at, where me and my brother attended. And long story short, like me and my brother, especially my brother, like we were very small, like for our age group, and me like being 60 pounds, 70 pounds small, jumping into like a big middle school, which was for like I think it was like sixth graders to ninth grade, in a huge middle school. So these seventh graders are in the same like room with like ninth graders, and they're like, and even back then, like looking back, like they looked like adults and like how, they were pretty developed. Um, but anyways, I found myself like getting bullied and it got really bad at one point and my mom decided to, well, my dad like found a school, but my mom decided to just take me to a school, took it seriously and I was introduced to jujitsu.
Yeah. And did you wrestle in high school as well?
I actually wrestled the same year I joined jujitsu. Like maybe I started jujitsu and then 6 months later, 5 or 6 months later, I joined the wrestling team at
Yeah.
school.
And you and I, we're both jiu-jitsu black belts, and can definitely remember my first introduction to BJJ. But what was your first day like stepping on the mat?
My first day, I was wearing a gi top and sweatpants.
Okay.
It was the most comfortable feeling ever before I had to
Yeah.
wear gi pants.
Yeah.
But it was my first trial class. Uh, I was actually the only junior girl because they did classes weird, so I was 10 years old. I was technically a junior because of my size, and there was, like, one other little girl, but she was, like, 4 years old or 5 years old, and she's in college right now, it's kinda crazy to look back. But she was 5 years old, so I had to stay with the junior side of the classes, um, and it kinda just motivated me because just seeing her being, like, another, like, small girl at the class made me wanna just do jiu-jitsu. I really truly believe I didn't see her in the class and it was just all, like, boys, I probably wouldn't have come back to, the jiu-jitsu class just because I thought, "Oh, it's a boy sport or it's male dominated, I don't feel comfortable." And my mom is, she was very, strict about that stuff, like, grappling with guys. To this day, she would be, like, uncomfortable with it, but it was just something that I needed to learn at an early age, unfortunately, because of, like, what I was going through.
Yeah, and you did mention as well, Danielle, that you were bullied. Um, and how did those experiences shape the path to where you are today? So being in a situation where, I mean, kids can be so fucking cruel, they really can. But how did those experiences shape your path into, stepping on the big stage at One Championships?
I mean, I feel like even before one, I would say, like, jujitsu is definitely, like anyone, like, any girl, any boy that joins like, a combat sport, you find, like, a level of confidence that you've never had before. Gives you a lot of like, confidence. I would say, like, when I started and I got bullied and then I learned some jujitsu 6 months to a year, I felt, confident that if I got into a fight, if I did or I already did, I would win. Like, jujitsu gives us that, it comes off cocky, It's just you're comfortable, like, in a real life scenario. If something happens, you're able to defend yourself. But now I feel like, especially competitor-wise and another competitor's viewpoint, I'm probably different just with my opinion with this. I just think it gave some competitors too much confidence where, um, no one wants to admit that they're cocky. Like, you do wanna try to inspire and help others, but I think the sport has approached good and bad people in the sport, and, um, I just think a lot of people use it to bully others. So, we joined the sport to get away from bullies, and then we find ourselves seeing more bullies in the sport. So I think there needs to be, like, a few changes, but I think for the most part, it's good for kids and teens and
Mm.
women in general and girls to join jiu-jitsu because it gives you that confidence to help you and defend yourself.
I totally agree with you, Danielle. I started initially in striking arts. I started Taekwondo at the age of 6, and I didn't do jujitsu until later on. And the thing I love about jujitsu is it deals with an altercation in a more humane way, and especially for a bullying situation. I've talked on countless podcasts. It's not advisable for another child to hit another child in the playground. Did you have to use it in the playground? Did you confront the bullies?
When we first moved to this elementary school, so again, like, we were coming from a Philly, like, Northeast, and it was actually I had never had a fight, like, I had all of, like, friends there, it's, like, where I was born and raised, and then when I went to, like, a suburban school, it was a different environment, and my first fight ever actually was in 5th grade, and, I don't know, like, I was a shy, quiet kid, and it was actually on a playground that I think about it, because I didn't know we didn't have playgrounds in the city, it was just more like recess, and we all just had to use, like, jump ropes to play, like, it was maybe, like, 1 basketball court, but that was it, whereas in this suburban school, there was, like, a huge playground, never seen it before, so, like, it was like, "Oh, like, this is where all the rich kids go, I guess." But fast forward, yeah, I, got into my first fight, and then that's when I started doing jujitsu, and then I got into a second fight at the same school, and I used it, but it went quick because I think it also especially at a young age, like, when I got into the second fight, I knew, like, I could probably hurt this person, and she was older than me, but I think the sport just taught me that I can really just hurt this person if I wanted to, but I didn't, and,
Yeah.
that I ended up not getting suspended because it wasn't my fault, um, so, yeah, I think it benefits, like, both people, especially, like, you found yourself in, like, a bad situation outside of school, then you definitely need to use it.
Yes. Yeah, you definitely do. So why did you initially sign up to jujitsu as opposed to doing a striking art? That's because you mentioned that you signed up initially. It was at a karate school. Did you start with karate and then into jujitsu?
So, actually, to be honest, that was the reason I went to this jujitsu school because I told my mom, like, I wanna learn striking because I didn't know what jujitsu was, and, she even thought I was gonna learn some striking, but my mom was kinda the person, like, she didn't wanna watch me, like, get hurt or, like, she was very religious, so she would drop me off and then talk to, like, the coach or the desktop people, and then, she would do her thing for, like, 45 minutes while I was in class, um, and, yeah, I wanted to learn striking, and my coach knew that at the time, and he was like, "Oh, well, I think jiu-jitsu would benefit you a lot more because what if a girl bigger than you was able to hit you hard and you fall on the ground? What's gonna be your answer?" So then me and my mom were basically like, "Oh, that makes sense." So we are like, "Okay, we'll give jiu-jitsu a try." And then 3 months later, I signed up for my first jiu-jitsu tournament and fell in love with it.
That's
That's
amazing,
how I, like,
Danielle.
lured us in, like, "Oh, okay, we can try to strike, but we don't know how to strike, and then what if we get hurt?" So,
Yeah.
yeah, that's what happened.
And do you remember your introduction into wrestling rounds?
Actually, he did make us he called it sparring, but he made me jump in with, like, they're, like, the junior boys too, so they're, like one of them was, like, my age, maybe one was, like, a year younger too. Um, but yeah, I did, like, the takedown rounds with them, and I ended up just taking them down, like, for the first day and the second
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
So I was
So
like, "Yeah,
when
I'm a
when
natural."
Yeah, yeah. When did you realize BJJ could be not just a hobby, but a lifelong pursuit?
Honestly, I didn't think it would be, and it got to a point later on, like, my mom was telling me, it's not gonna benefit me in the long run. Not in a way of, like, outside scenario, like, I always know how to defend myself, just more, like, career-wise, and, I don't know, like, I loved competing so much, and then one thing led to another, just traveling and, um, doing random tournaments, and I did this one big tournament, and I kinda just blew up from there. Like, I didn't win it. I didn't no, I submitted one girl, actually. But, yeah, I did the tournament, and from there, I had people reaching out.
And your initial coach, Danielle, because you got your jiu-jitsu black belt under Carl Pravik, Silver Fox, but did you always train with him, or was who was your original coach?
I'd rather not say, but I did train at a Philadelphia school, and then, I eventually, like, moved, after everything. So it was kind of like after I didn't wanna really finish college, so I'd say, like, 2017 is when I, joined Silver Fox, but I was also before that, I was, under Daniel Gracie, like, training from Daniel Gracie, Philly to New York where John Danaher was, who I'm training with now under, here in Texas. Um, but I was with Silver Fox for 5, 6 years, I think?
Yep.
Wow, time went by fast. Yeah, I would say 6 years.
Yeah. What was your childhood like, Danielle? What was it like growing up in Philadelphia?
It was fun. I mean, I don't have anything bad to say about, like, growing up where I came from, because my brother, my dad, my mom, like, we were all, like, you know, living in Philly while our other family members were kinda, like, outside of Philly. Um, yeah, I mean, I love Philly. I mean, it's definitely changed a little bit, like, there's, like, newer areas now, like, being built, like, they're making it more, like, I feel like hippier, I guess, if that's even a word. But back then, it was just, like, a regular place to be at. 'Cause every time I visit there too, it's, like, very nostalgic. Like, it was always safe to just, like, ride my scooter, but now I feel like if I visit there now at night, it's best to, like, you can't do that anymore. Um but yeah, I mean, it's a place where, like, me and my brother, like, grew up together at.
Yeah. Danielle, I lost my father back in 2020, and
I'm
it's
sorry.
always thank you. It's always difficult when you lose someone. And you've spoken openly about experiencing loss, and especially at a young age. But how did that adversity influence your mindset before you even stepped onto the mat?
Yeah, it's really tough because, like, when my dad passed, like, I was still in high school, and this is, like, when we moved again to, like, another school, like, me and my brother. And I have a older half brother, but, like, he lives in Florida. So it was, like, hard on all of us. Um, can't really comment on that just because I was so young and I didn't understand, and then going through other things, like, at home, definitely wasn't easy. But then once my mom, like, passed away, I kinda used that as, like, it was kinda like it was one of those things, like, she didn't think, like, it would be, like, a good career move, and it was like, "Alright, I'll just prove that I can m make a living off that. I can inspire other people." Maybe someone that was in my shoes, a girl or a boy, like, they're probably going through the same thing. And I still, when I compete or whenever I compete, I that's, like, one of my goals is, like, they can, hear my story. I think that's also one of the issues now, even with, grappling professionally, is that people lose track of, like, someone's story, like, it's never really being talked about, and, I think, like, why my name is out there too is because people do know my story, the ones especially, like, when I competed for, 1 championship back then, they were really good at, like, putting my story out there, and it helped a lot of people, even if they don't say, but it helped many, like, young girls, young boys that were in my shoes. So, during that, like, even just competing professionally on a big stage like that, or UFC, or just any other, mats I wouldn't say tournaments, because tournament, I feel like it's still good, but it's a different setting than when everyone's watching you in, like, a super fight setting than a versus a tournament setting. Um I would say it's even, like, going out there, it's inspiring to me that like, I'm inspired just going out there, showing, like, what I, do in the training room and putting it out there to help everyone else, or if they're having a bad day at work, they do jujitsu as a hobby, and it inspires them, like, "Okay, I'm having a bad day, but so and so lost their dad or lost their mom, like, they're going out there, putting it out there for the world to see." So, I think that helps me, especially, like, when I go out there and compete. But now people, like, say, like, I look crazy sometimes, so I just put all my emotions out there on the mat. And that's why I would say too, like, that's good for jiu-jitsu, like, some people use it for therapy, which in most cases, it's a good thing. But then there's some cases where it's like, okay, you need like a hobby to separate your therapy with jujitsu and something else. Cause
Yeah.
yeah, very, very few cases where it's like, all right, this person needs therapy, but jujitsu is your therapy. So
You know what? I think a lot of the people in that room, like when you're in a jujitsu or fight gym, the people that you spar with, they're kind of like your therapists in a
yes.
sense.
Actually I would say
Yeah.
like coaches too, but I think now most coaches are just trying to keep it separate, but it's like hard
Mm.
because like you see this person every day or almost every day at training.
And what have you learnt most about yourself doing jujitsu, and how has that transferred over into your life, being able to overcome difficult challenges?
For a long time, I realized, like, how strong I am because I feel like it's really hard just, if I ever once I have kids in the future, if I ever have a daughter, or a son, but, like, a daughter, I hope she never goes through anything, losing a parent, losing a guardian, anyone, even grandparents. It's just really hard for a kid in general just because you don't know how to control your emotions, and, for me, like, it was just hard because I wanted to do good at jujitsu, but then I was dealing with, like, outside emotion, so it was one of those things even now, I would say, like, after all these years, maybe I learned how to, ground it a little bit, but then there's times where it's like, it still follows you, you can't escape from it. You can pretend that it doesn't bother you, but, I think anyone, God forbid, like anyone loses, even a pet, like it stays with you. I think your body and your mind you just have to train it to kind of control or put your emotions to the side.
Yeah.
But then that could be bad or good. But I guess like when I just did a tournament like a month ago, I just put all my emotions in my matches and just went for it.
Yeah. And it's hard. Like if anyone loses a parent or anybody close to them, it's really, really difficult. I'll have to send you a poem. I've sent this to a few people. I have a mate of mine who's an ex Special Forces commando. He's also a Jiu Jitsu brown belt. And he sent this to me when my father passed away. Um, what part of it says the pain that we feel when a loved one passes is their last gift to us. It's the
Yes.
gift of giving us this pain to reteach us how to truly live. And sometimes death can be a powerful motivator to really excel and propel us in life. Did that ever have an effect on you?
Yes. Trying to like say in smaller words, I feel like, I lost my grandmom too, and she was a part of my life, but then I didn't really visit her until COVID happened, and then, she passed during COVID. So after like one loss from another, I lost like three important people. Um, yeah, I mean, it's indescribable pain, I think anyone that tries to mask it, I just train and I compete jujitsu because that's, like, where my escape is. If you have good people, especially, like, you have good friends and those who are very lucky very, very lucky to have both sides of family that are supporting you. Most people don't have that luxury, and it's pretty sad because it's like they're supposed to be your parents' family, and you're, like, the child. But, in the sport, like, my friends who are, like, like, the coaches, guardians, they're like my parents, sometimes if I need advice or, uh, I use, like, their male ask their wives, like, "Hey, like, how do I" back then I just didn't know how to, like, clean or fold something. I was like, "Hey, how do I do this?" So, they would just help me. Like, I'm very lucky because of this sport that I'm able to have connections with people like that. Um Yeah, I don't know. I think with just losing that and then able to have like meeting people that they're there to support you, I think is a big um reason like probably why I'm here today or just anyone in general if they're going through something.
Yeah, yeah. What I love about jujitsu too, Danielle, is it's like a puzzle, and like if you're rolling with someone, there's this idea that there's the four-step principles that John Danaher talks about. You first take the fight to the ground, pass their guard, work to a pin, whether it be side control to the mount, and then also submission. That same pathway that we that we do, you can break down those steps in how you handle challenges in everyday life. Have there also been many times throughout your entire life where you've utilized a four-step system to break down a problem? Because I think this is important, especially for children to kind of grapple with, like learning how to, break down a problem and simplify what the best course of action is. But I'm sure there must have been many incidences where you've utilized the jujitsu concepts, if that makes sense.
Yes. Well, that I guess this kind of like puts like this scenario or situation I had because I was kind of like trying to juggle from did I want to pursue jujitsu or teaching jujitsu as like a job, or do I go with the route that my old coach was trying to put me through, or do I go through what my grandmom or so and so said I should do? Because I mean, going back to like losing even both parents, like I was, and my brother was away in Air Force military. Um, so I was kinda, like, just by myself, like, juggling, like, what is the smartest idea? Like, what makes me happy? And then, like, it just sucks, especially, like, being that age, because I couldn't do what made me happy. I kinda had to do, like, what was gonna put a roof over my head. And unfortunately, too, like, looking back, and this is why I guess, decisions I make today is going I just remember feeling this way to this day is because, I thought I had a coach that was like my dad, and juggling through, like, because he was in the military, so he was kinda telling me, like, I should be in the military. Then I have, like, my family friend, longtime wrestling coach in high school was basically telling me, "It's not gonna make you happy, you know, the military is not a bad thing, but just knowing me, it wasn't gonna suit me no matter, like, the options I was trying for." And the one coach was trying to make me be a Marine, and I did not wanna be a Marine. Like, nothing wrong with, like, Marines, I'm just saying for me, it wouldn't have made me happy. And, I know my mom wanted me to, like, be in the Air Force, but I also wasn't good at school, like, academically, so I had that issue. And I guess in the US too, if you score, like, low on, like, the test scores or something, you would have to be, like, infantry or something. Something, like, very it was just, like, it was pretty extreme, like, at that time, so it was like, "Okay, I have this problem right now, but I don't have, like, a support system, but they're telling me I should go join the military. What do I do?" So, I don't know, I kinda used that system where I was like, I'll just contact my dad's side of the family. They let me stay for a few months, and then from there, I reconnected with, like, jiu-jitsu friends, and those same people, thank God for them, they kinda, like, helped me focus, like, what was the smartest move, what would make me happy. I realized traveling and competing and doing jiu-jitsu, and that's what I started doing, like, 7 months later, after staying with my dad's side of the family. Then I started to kinda just teach around the world, and it kinda just built up slowly. It wasn't like a, the next day kinda thing or overnight. It did take time. So I was, like, doing, like, waitressing, and then I did bartending, then I was competing, and from all of those, obstacles, I this is where I'm here where I am
Yeah.
right now today.
An amazing journey you've been on too, Danielle. What were your dreams and aspirations growing up? Because that can be sometimes very difficult to figure out what you want to do in life.
Yeah, I wanted to be a cop at one point, and then, 2020 happened, and I was like, "No, I don't wanna be a cop anymore." But even before that too, I wanted to be a nurse. I still do, like, to a certain degree. I still, like, wanna finish, school and get a nursing degree. Um, but just dealing with, like just seeing, like, how, you know I thank God every day for, like, the nurses that my dad was taken care of by, like, really great nurses. But even as a nurse, like, seeing, like, the family, like how like hurt they are seeing a loved one really sick or, dying. Takes a toll, and I don't know if I can live through that yet or do it again. So this is coming from, like seeing my dad like doing that. I don't know if how I can handle like seeing someone else's dad go through the same thing. So it's
Mm,
something I struggle with every day. Like, all right, what if I do this after jiu-jitsu?
yeah. And what I love about you too, Danielle, as I was mentioning earlier, is you are the perfect representation of jujitsu. It's that old school
Some
analogy,
people might disagree. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
David versus Goliath. And I've seen you, Danielle. I've watched you. You wrestle with the boys. Sometimes you fuck them up too, um, which is amazing. I love to see that. I think it's so
Technique over
cool.
strength.
What was that? Sorry.
Technique over strength.
Exactly. It's technique over over strength. And what I love about it is and because I teach women's jujitsu as well, and it's always hard, Danielle, to try and get female students in the door. And I've shown a couple of female students of mine, some of your training and your footage and you competing, and they're like, "Wow, she's like the same size as me, and she's doing all these crazy intricate moves and things like that." But as someone who's helped elevate women's grappling globally, what message would you have to women who are hesitant to try BJJ?
Yes, I would say, especially in today, I would say like find a school, whatever school you're comfortable at. Um, Go with the school that has, like, the most, like, kids and women because I feel like that's a message that that school is safe. I know it's probably been said, like, a bunch of times, but I think it's true. The most if it's, like, more kids, more moms and females, teen girls are in the school, the better the school environment is. And that's at the end of the day, boy or girl, man, woman, everyone wants a safe environment. You don't know, like, people's story or what they're going through. Maybe they're, dropping off the kids from school, going to the kids academy or anything. Um, I would say that and that once you start to get comfortable, once you just do one class, just try one class with another female, just give it a chance and go with it. I think you just have to give something a chance. That's what I learned too, even like just competing. If you're just scared to do something, then you might not ever like try it or might not ever do it in the future or might not ever get to experience that feeling just in general. I think the hardest thing for just even kids too is just getting your foot into the door. Once you go through that step, then it's trying a class. Then once you do that class, give it a week. If you like it for a week, give it a month, give it 6 months, give it a year, and then kind of like go from there. I would say like just look out for like the environment of the school because I think nowadays it's really tough. Maybe not tough, just depending like who you know. It's just hard to, like, find the environment that you're comfortable with, even saying this as a
Mm.
competitor, male or female.
Yeah. And it's such an empowering martial art. One of my students, Danielle, she's a sexual assault survivor. And I promoted her to blue belt last year. And it was a very emotional day for me because she'd been training with me for 5 years. And I can remember Danielle, before she stepped into the gym, she must have been driving around the complex for about an hour, contemplating whether or not she wanted to come in. And I just remember she was so shy, so timid, super, super nervous, which is understandable. What are some of the barriers that a lot of women have when they step onto the mat? Because I think too, and you're right, you made a good point. You need to sort of source out the gym if there has a lot of female students and to try and, decipher whether or not this is a good gym. But what are some of the barriers do you think women can try and um, learn or how they can overcome those barriers? Like, what do you think women can do to? You mentioned obviously just stepping onto the mat, but introduction to wrestling rounds. There's a perfect example. Should women start wrestling maybe 3 months, 4 months later, and just do drilling? What was your would be your recommendation?
So just coming from, like, the schools that I taught at and, like, saw, like, how they ran things, I think the most comfortable thing that especially if a female has, like, she's coming from a background of, like, any abuse or even just shy, like, I'm pretty shy, like, when I didn't wanna do class, but once I, like, walked in and I saw, like, another girl there, it made me more comfortable. Um but even just any background, whether it's good, really bad, or, uncomfortable in general, I think it's safe that they bring another female with them. Maybe it's their friend, their best friend, sister, their mom, like anyone, or they know someone. In most cases that I know, they already knew someone, like another female competitor or a female that already trains at the school. So they just go with them to train with them and kind of like welcome themselves at the school. Um, but as far as like sparring and whatnot, I think it just depends on the individual. I don't you shouldn't kind of like rush them to try to spar because maybe they'll spar their first time ever and they like, completely hate it, and then they may feel that they have to be expected to spar again because they're not very comfortable, but because the instructor or the school, that's what they're going for. Um, it might kind of like drive them away from doing jujitsu. But as but most schools that I know how they try to, like, handle situations like that is they'll have, like, a basic class, and the next class will be, like, advanced where it's sparring only. So most people, especially, like, just moms and dads in general, if they don't feel like or feel comfortable rolling, they'll just do the first class. They'll just stick with the basics, they'll stay with their friends, and then the next class would be, like, the advanced class, but that's more only because they do, like, 20 minutes of, sparring at the end. So I think that that also, like, help, like, owners or, like, anyone that's teaching jiu-jitsu. Um, but I think any individual, if it's a guy or a girl that has, like, they're going through something and they're doing a school, I think they should just do the first class first, and then eventually, if they're comfortable, they can do the second class.
Mm. And when did you start tapping out the boys?
My second day of class.
Really? Your second day of class?
Yes.
Wow.
I
What was
knew the
that
sport was
like?
for me because like, it just clicked me, like, when I knew how to do a rear naked choke, and then I would do it on my brother. Well, I have 2 brothers, but the one I was living with, I would just practice my moves on him and then start to annoy him, and then he'll fight back. So then I got used to just kinda, like, sparring with him, but then I couldn't spar with him anymore because he just hated me and, like, got uncomfortable, and, he just doesn't like to be touched because he, like, he
Yeah.
just likes to play video games and, be in his own business. So, um, yeah, I would just go to class and just spar whenever, and I just got addicted to it.
Oh, what an amazing early start to jujitsu. It was completely the opposite for me, Danielle. I got my ass handed to me by a girl. I'll never forget my first introduction into jujitsu. I think there we go. Yeah, your camera just went off for a second.
Sorry. Yeah, I
Yeah,
was checking the battery, but it's still fine.
all
There's like a
good.
45% thing.
Ah, cool. And I remember like my first day, um, I had her in like a scarf hold, like a kezukatami kind of headlock position. And meanwhile, I'm getting fucking tired. Like I'm holding her down for about 2 minutes and I could feel her scooching to my back. And then eventually, and I'm still holding on her head. And then inch by inch, she's able to get her head out. And then eventually she gets to my back. She gets a seatbelt position with both hooks. And then we're wearing the gi, and she just strangled the fuck out of me. And it was just such an eye-opener experience. It was just so humbling at the same time. And she was probably maybe about 50 something kilos, that's probably about maybe 100 something
Mhm.
pounds. And I just remember I'm like, fuck, I can't believe someone can do this to me. It's just so empowering to see that
It's
women
humbling.
can do, this amazing ability with jujitsu. Um, have you seen firsthand? I mean, you would have seen firsthand some people that have come through the door that have just completely made a huge transformation. Can you think of some memorable people that you've met along the way that's jujitsu's really changed their life?
For sure. I can only speak for like the girls just because like that's who I mostly train with is females. Um, but I think like at the first day, like if they're visiting, if they have like some experience or they don't have any experience at all, you can just tell like they're more after every class, whether if it takes like a month or two, they get more confident and they get more energetic. And it's a good feeling to see too, because like, I used to, like, teach at a school and, like, see them just being excited to be at class and just being around people, that was pretty just inspiring just because like, you're making this person's day or they probably had a long day at work or dealing with kids, and they come to class for, like, an hour, and they're able to just, express themselves or train or let themselves out. So yes, I've seen like a lot of like good changes. Um I would just say like the confidence. Like you can tell like the more classes they do, the more confident they are. They're more confident in trying an armbar now. They're more confident in doing shrimps. They couldn't do it one shrimp the first class. So just seeing like small moments like that, especially like white belts, blue belts, and then purple belts, little changes like that, you know, it it's like a good feeling just as like an
Mm.
instructor that teaches. So I would say like they're confident boosts.
Yeah. What do you think is the fastest way to improve in jujitsu? If for people that are little and small, what do you think is the best way to retain knowledge and to get better?
I think the best way is drilling. Um, for a while, like even just as like a purple belt, brown belt, and then black belt, I'm sorry. Even before I was at Silver Fox, I had this like wrestling mentality. Not saying that's not a bad mentality at all. Like wrestlers are very good athletes. But it was hard for me to retain a lot of like jujitsu techniques. I wouldn't know how to like put like it'd be something really small, like your elbow goes to your hip rather than keeping your elbow out. Um, as stupid as that sounds, like, just little details like that mean a lot in, like, a jiu-jitsu scenario, like grappling in a professional or a high intense role, just because like, any little detail you miss out, that person that's better than you or same level as you will counter you and, maybe do an Uchima or just any, like, armbar, just small things like that. Um, I would say, like, just learning your basics. I think a lot of people they get excited for like the advanced stuff, which is not a bad thing. Like you should always evolve with jiu-jitsu as time goes on. Like people kind of neglected the leg locks at one point. Now everyone knows how to do a leg lock. White belts and blue belts now, they have better leg locks than most black belts that are like older. That's only because like leg locks are now very like popular, but then they're neglecting their basic upper body stuff. So if you're just leaving their leg out or ankle in the open, or I'm sorry, you're just leaving your head and arm out in the open, they're gonna go for a guillotine or a choke because you're worried about the legs. Just small things like that. And just retaining like if you just take like 30 minutes out of your day, like watching jiu-jitsu, especially for me, I might be different, but I think watching jiu-jitsu is very boring. So I try to make the effort at least 20 to 30 minutes a day or at night just to watch jiu-jitsu match or watch like a video talking about details. Retain that information, then I bring it to class, do it in a drilling session, and then during the rolls, I'll probably do it with like a white belt or a blue belt girl. I'm not trying to hurt them, it's just kinda seeing like, "Alright, if their body moves like this, then I'll just try it this way if it works." Then as
Mm.
you start to, like, do those movements, and over time, you can do it with a black belt, a competitor girl, and she's really good, and you can hit that move on her, then you
Yeah.
feel more confident. So, um, I would say like drill. I mean, it's like this talk with the I'm probably gonna butcher it, but it's like the ecological talk and then drilling. I think it's the same thing. As long as you're drilling the reaction and movement, you start to retain a lot of information easier than just trying to like be super perfect that, oh, your foot goes here. But that other person is probably better than you, or they're really good and they know you're trying to put your foot there. So you just drill that reaction. That was a lot of
Yeah.
information, I'm sorry.
No. And I've heard John Danaher talk as well, Danielle. He said the majority of your training in jujitsu, you should roll with people that are a little bit less skilled than you. And I think Joe Rogan was talking about that too. Like in competition, obviously, if you're leading up to a competition and maybe the last few weeks, you would probably train with people with equal skill or more. But do you think there's some truth that you need to roll with people that are a little bit less skilled and try and work more technically and try and work getting out of bad positions? What do you think of that approach?
No, I agree with the approach. To be fair though, like just when I feel like I've gotten better at like the high level competing competition, um, just roll with people that are going after me, like that are actually pretty good. And if you make like one little mistake, like they're not trying to like hurt me, but it's when you're rolling with another female competitor, like they're pretty competitive, so it's just one of those things like if they have it, just tap, or if I have it, just tap. I think just I think like a drilling session, like you want to go with someone that you're a little better than, just because you can, just like before, like you can retain better information, like with the techniques being taught. Um, but also too, like, maybe there's some days where I'll choose this day and another day that I'll go with someone that's pretty decent or better than me or we're, like, the same, and then the other days I'll go with people that I can work techniques on because when you feel more comfortable going with them, then you can start feeling comfortable going with someone and that's pretty good, but you can, go with them at any time or, like, any, fast pace of the match or the role. So yeah, I kinda, like, agree with, like, what Donna says because I we all do that pretty much pretty similarly. But for females, I think it's different just because like, maybe most girls don't show up for that class that day, so I end up going with the girl that is really good, or I go with the guy that's, like, my size, but he's not, like, a wipeout or anything, so, um, it helps me still, but it might help them more because I'm
Yeah.
smaller, so then they'll just get better at the technique.
Yeah. And what do you think about women rolling with men? Because I've heard Faraz Zahabi say he doesn't roll with women. But see, I've got female students of mine who can ragdoll new male students that step through the door, and it's pretty
Yes.
fucking impressive when I see someone that's smaller take on someone that's a lot heavier. It's really, really impressive. But what do you think of that approach? Should women start trying to wrestle men later on? Like, what's your whole thought process with that?
Yeah, speaking of the podcast, because I know Silver Fox has went up there to train a lot. They're really like good friends. I think he's from the same. He's like from the same team too. I think he's like under Henzo's. I think he was seeing it more of a point of view of like, I have to look at it both sides, like as a female and then as like a guy that he owns a school, and like there could be, like, different opinions about, like, maybe guys don't feel comfortable rolling with girls, and you can't be mad at that, like, my mom was never comfortable with me rolling with guys or even
Mm,
boys, like, when I was younger. There's an understanding to that, especially, like, some news we hear in the jiu-jitsu world, like, it's unfortunate, but it happens. So it makes other guys who are instructors or owners, they feel uncomfortable seeing or having girl rolling with a female in general just because of, like, what's going on at other schools. But with that being said, I think, rolling with I can only say because I'm a girl myself, but I think, like, rolling with girls, especially, like, the high level guys we see, like Gordon Ryan and, like, other guys, Eddie Cummings and them, they had just strictly female training partners, and they did fine against in competition. They were submitting guys their size. They're like he's, like, the number 1 grappler. Um, I think it just depends, like, what you're working with. I think drilling wise, I think drill girls, a lot of people just feel comfortable doing that because it helps with their
mm,
technique. But I can also see like just another point of view why people don't feel comfortable with that. But then it's like it goes back to like you're in a jiu-jitsu school. I mean, if you're a competitor, you're gonna roll with other competitors. Unless you're like 300 pounds and you have no reason to roll with me. We're not rolling. But in general, I think it helps out a lot. And I think just seeing who competes and you see their
mm.
training partners, like their usual training partners, it's a female.
Yes. And how has your relationship of fear and pressure evolved over the years as you stepped up onto the bigger stages, competing in one championships?
So actually, I did a tournament like right before I did ADCC trials, East Coast trials, and I was like stuck in a contract. And I'll go back to this conversation too because I made a YouTube video of it, and I have to go back to doing it. But I would say like when I started to compete a lot leading up to, like, doing one championship, even, like, in the beginning of one championship, like, I was competing a lot relatively, but even before, I was competing way more, like, on, like, the big stages, like UFC and UFC Fight Pass and all those other events. I think, like, competing more has made me more comfortable and kind of, uh it made me more comfortable and just kind of, like, forgetting, like, there's people watching me because once I'm out there and, like, the lights are shining, it's like I don't see anyone else, I just see, like, what's in front of me, like, my opponent, and then like, the referee. Um, but not competing for almost a year, not because on my terms, but once I left one championship or released, like, whatever even though there's, like, no division now, but, I was released from it because they had to because 'cause they're not giving me matches. I was like, "I'm just gonna do a tournament just to see what the feeling was like because I forgot what the feeling was like because it was almost a year since I had competed, and, I got to shoot my first match, and then, I lost by, like, a point or something or, like, by an advantage in my second match, and then, the rules were just different, just it was like a 5 or 6-minute match, 5 minutes? I don't know, but it was, like, one of those matches, but with everything too, like, I had COVID, like, that weekend too, so it was just one of those things, like, I just wanted to compete just to see, like, how I felt, and I was, like, really nervous. I had never felt, like, that nervous, and it was just a tournament, like, it wasn't, like, a big, like, name tournament or anything. But then I did ADCC trials at East Coast, and just doing that one tournament, bombing it, I took 3rd place, fighting 5 matches, winning most of them, lost by a point to my teammate. Um, yeah, I decided to just join this tournament for, like, 3 weeks, and they knew that I was doing a tournament too, because then they ended up joining it. Um, yeah, I mean, I kinda just proved myself, like, these girls are seasonal, the 1st place girl and the other girls that were in the tournament or that were in the bracket, they're competing every other month or every weekend than me. Like, I just joined the tournament from, like, not competing for a year. So it went from feeling like there was a lot of pressure on me, and then once I did this tournament, I was like, "I don't care, like, who watches me, don't care about the pressure, I'm just gonna go in there and treat it like they kicked my puppy or something." And I took 3rd place, so I can't complain. Like, I beat a girl that, I felt like, one of the streams that was, like, hyping them up a lot, and I I won, so yeah, I think it just depends on your mindset. I think it's all about mental. The first time I was too worried about being nervous, and I lost
Mm,
track of, like, what was in front of me. So, did the most important tournament, and, I took 3rd.
yeah. What age were you when you started competing? Because if I remember, I've seen a few videos of you, very young. What age were you?
Which one? There's a lot of
Competition. Do you remember how old you were when you started competition jujitsu?
10. Yeah, I was 10 years old. Like
Oh, you
Naga?
started 10. Yeah, right. Wow.
Yeah, like, after 3 months of joining, like, my coach made me do a tournament.
Oh man, that's wow, incredible, Danielle. So when you're preparing for a major match like that, so especially like one championships, what does your mental preparation look like as opposed to your physical training?
For sure. I just kind of, I don't try to think about it too much. I think just competing it all these years, except like the one I did like 2 months ago, I it comes natural to me. I do like my usual things. Like I try not to overthink. Like I'll play like the video games like on my computer. Anything that's like not stressing me out about jujitsu, I just kind of focus on that. But I also like I had like a mental coach before and just him saying I think the most important thing is like if you're looking forward to the match and just being there, like it's so cliche saying that, but it's actually true in a lot of ways. Like why would I do a match if I'm not happy or why if I'm not looking forward to it? Like what's the point? If I have that mindset, I'm going to do very bad. Maybe you'll win some, but then it's like you're not enjoying it, so what what what's the point? So, whenever I do a match now, I just especially, like, the one I did the East Coast trials, like, I kinda went in with the mindset of, like, "I'm doing this for fun. I don't care about, like, who's watching me or the pressure." And I ended up doing really well. Like, I wasn't expecting the place, and I did with these seasoned competitor girls who were competing, like, every month, and I realized too, like, my life is great outside of competing, so if I lose to, like, a, flying armbar or something, I come home, to like, I'm happy, so it's not like the end of the world for me, whereas I felt like that for one, or they try to make it seem that way, but no, there's so many good things to look forward to if I lose, like,
Yeah.
one match.
And Danielle, you won the women's Atomweight submission grappling championships. This was in 2023, is that right?
Yes. Mhm, like, towards the
Yeah.
end, yes.
Yeah. What was that historic win like for you? What was your whole experience? Walk me through that.
It was pretty good. I don't really talk about it much just because like, I was even, like, outside of it, I was going through, like, some mental stuff going on, but just, like, competing for, like, a title like that against like a really good competitor. From to this day, I felt like people kinda shy away from the credit, but if you look on paper, she was way more accomplished than me, she beat me before, um, but good like, hats off to her, I mean, she's having a family, so there's no hate coming from me, like, it's the best thing you can focus on is, like, family or having a family, but before, she submitted the number 1 or I think she's, like, number 3 pound for pound, number 4, she, like, won ADCC the last year, she submitted her in, like, one of her matches, and then, me beating her, like, the next 2 months later, after she won Worlds, that kinda, like, put me up there too. But no one, like, really talks about that for whatever reason, and she comes from, like, a really good team, from AOJ, like, the Mendez brothers, like, I've always watched their stuff even when I was a kid, like, when they were
Mm.
competing. Um, just shows, like, how much influence they have and, like, how much, like, even their students are, like, really good competitors in general. So just going in there already, like, people were even her, like, at the time, she was kinda, like, putting me down, saying, like, she doesn't see me winning this match. She trains with the best, which she does train with the best. Um, but I proved that you don't need to do world championship tournaments like that. You don't need to be around champions to train with, and I wasn't training with champions, I was training with, like, maybe, like, people that are just doing, like, regular jiu-jitsu tournaments. Um but yeah, I think the number one thing was just staying focused and, like, working on things that I can control, not, like, what she did or what she won. Um, yeah, I mean, it was a good match. I mean, anyone that tries to take that away from me, I think is just pure jealousy. So, it was a
Mm.
tough match, but I just went in there knowing that I could win, and I did.
Yeah, and it was an emotional win too. Would you say that was probably your most proudest achievement?
Yeah, it's pretty my one of my proudest ones, yes. Again, like, outside of it, like, I had, like, this weird, like, uh I'm not, like, I don't know how, like, to describe it, but, like, it just leading up to it, like, people just bothering me, but I knew who they were, so, like, dealing with that and then, like, having a big match in front of me, like, I just didn't wanna focus on, like, the negative energy, but I was able to, like, represent, like, Silver Fox, so, you know, I represented Silver Fox, my team, and, I showed, like, you don't have to be at a big school to, like, win a big championship like that, and I
Mm.
proved that. So, just being in that moment and, like, Fox and them couldn't be there because of, like, the whole, like, COVID stuff or, like, back then they were doing, like, the vaccine, like, if you have your card, you can't,
Mm.
go there. Um, but yeah, it was a great feeling. I mean, I beat a world champ, like a two-time world champ, like, at her art, who she's beaten, like, really good girls, so, I mean, I don't know what else
Yeah.
people can say. And
And
I was
was
a
it
huge underdog too.
yes. And was it the same night that you won the performance of the night? Was it that same
No, it's a
night?
different one. No,
A
that was a
different
different
one?
one. Well, I
Yeah.
am the only champion actually, for one championship that didn't get a bonus, so it is what it is,
Ye
but I think it was, like, on purpose, but it's old
yeah.
news.
Yeah. And how has your sort of game plan changed over the years? So because you've stepped onto the big stage, you are an elite level competitor. Are there hopes and dreams that you're looking at maybe to compete at ADCC?
That's definitely, like, on my list, but I just to see, like, the new year coming up because I do have matches and everything coming up to planned, and, it kinda just varies from those matches, and then because I think the next trials is, like, in April, so I kinda have to, like, juggle a few things, but I probably won't know until, like, the new year comes.
Yeah. Yeah. What's it like? What's it like competing on the stage? You've got the lights, you've got the crowd. It's totally different than a local jiu-jitsu tournament. What's that whole experience like? It's kind of like getting in ready for an MMA fight.
I don't know about that, I think it's very different. I mean, for me, when I was competing, like, locally, like, in Philadelphia, especially in Philadelphia, like, my friends and my family could go and watch me. Um, it's a whole, like, different feeling where versus, when I mean, I'm always grateful for it, like, I got to see, like, what the world of, like, Asia was, but, like, traveling to, like, Thailand and Singapore, I just felt so far away from, like, my loved ones and, like, some of them had like, a lot of people had to watch me at, like, 11 p.m. or 1 a.m. in the morning. So I don't have to go through that anymore, but just being able to, like, compete close to home, like, gives me, like, a whole, like, another, like, confidence boost or, like, feeling, that I can that my loved ones are, like, watching me. I even have, like, a few cousins of mine that just they started doing jiu-jitsu for a couple years now, because of me, so I'm trying to, like, lead
Wow.
more of my family to do jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. What was it like when you received your jiu-jitsu black belt? What was that day like for you?
Yeah, there's actually a popular video, I didn't I knew, like, I was due to have my black belt, but I wasn't sure, like, when. I just knew, like, at any moment, I'm supposed to get my black belt because I've been competing against black belts now at that point. Um, yeah, I mean, I wasn't expecting it, but I just knew there was something, like, different, like, that night than when I got it, and, but I also it wasn't, like, a surprise because like, when I got the belt after, I was like, "Oh, this was pretty ex" like, I've been competing at black belt already, so but it was a great feeling just because of, like, what everything that I went through. I really didn't think I would ever see a black belt around me, around my waist, so it was, definitely it was definitely an experience, and I got it from Sorrel Fox, so,
Yeah.
I can't complain. Really good,
That's
coach
right.
and
Yeah, I saw the video. Yeah, you got promoted from Carl, and he's a black belt under Henzo. Is that right?
yes, yes.
Yeah. And would you travel to Henzo Gracie Academy and train there? I think you did a few times, didn't you? You went down to the Blue Basement and you trained. There's some
Mhm.
amazing, phenomenal jiu-jitsu guys down there.
Yeah, but now they all train in Texas now, majority of
Yeah,
them, like
everyone's moved to
Danaher, that's who I
Texas.
train with. Yeah,
Yeah,
I was
I
there way before, like, they all, like, blew up or when who knew, like, about the Blue Basement. So it's
mm,
pretty cool to, like, be in that, environment and experience, and
yeah,
now here I am today, like, it's everyone like, I know, like, people are excited, but it's like, I was there, like, years ago, so it's
you were
like,
before it all
"Alright."
started. Yeah,
Yeah, everyone's, like, all excited, I'm like, "Yeah, I was here years ago."
yeah.
Yeah,
And
that's not her.
what's it like training with Gordon Ryan and John Danaher?
Oh, it's the same as, like, the Blue Basement. I mean, when Danaher like, when they both teach, it's like, if you're not paying attention, like, you're gonna miss, like, so many details. I mean, I'm in, like, the best of the best in the world in that room. Like, there's Helena, like, the number 1 pound for pound female grappler right now. Uh, I'm, like, more of, like, the smaller grappler girl on the side, but I'm, like, one of the few. There's other few grapplers too that are up and coming, but they compete a lot more. Um Yeah, I mean, it's a room to definitely be in, like, the school just opened, so I think from a year from now, like, it's gonna get bigger and people still travel the world right now, like, visiting the school. Um,
Mm,
and I still see, like, people from New York that come to visit. Brian Glick and them had visited, a few times already. So yeah, it feels like I'm back in New York sometimes when I see
yeah,
those people there.
yeah. And what did you think of CJI?
This recent one?
Yeah,
I mean, I thought our team won. I
yeah,
don't know. I don't wanna get too much comment, but I mean, I like the first one, the second one. I mean, I can't I can't dislike what Craig is doing for the community. Like, I was also always a fan of his jiu-jitsu. Like, he has the personality, like, outside jiu-jitsu, but
yeah,
in jiu-jitsu too, like, he's really good and he's beaten a lot of, like, respectable names, so you gotta give the guy his credit.
yeah. Would you like to compete in CJI?
For sure. I would love to, but I would have to go through it with, the coaches at Kingsway.
Yeah, yeah. It'd be awesome to see you compete. I think it would be fantastic, because it's so exciting. It's really
Sorry.
exciting.
I'm not laughing at you. Just
No,
in
no, no.
general, like,
Yeah,
with the other stuff.
yeah,
But no, it would be really cool because like, a lot of people do, like, MMA fighters and jiu-jitsu people, they do watch that, tournament.
yeah, yeah. And they've made it a spectacle where it's exciting. It's totally different, and I think I love the idea of the pit. It just keeps it, enclosed, so you can't really go out of bounds. Submission
Mhm.
grappling has just come such a long way, and you mentioned earlier with leg locks and some of these intricate moves that a lot of these people are pulling off. What's your whole take on the evolution of BJJ?
I think So it's kind of like that saying, like history repeats itself. I think like right now, like just like the leg lock stuff. I think now, like with the CGI and like the wall stuff and everything, like even UFC BJJ is like doing the octable. So a lot of people are learning like takedowns now. I think takedowns are gonna come back to play. But you still have your guard pullers, like guard people are really good too. I think like basic it's hard to say, like, I wouldn't say, like, basic jiu-jitsu, but, like, the basics of, like, how jiu-jitsu started, I think is coming back into play. I think, um, like, in the if you see, like, gi competitions, I mean, I feel like with gi, though, it didn't really change. It kind of, like, changed, like, after people are doing, like, the inverted guard, and now you just see people in the gi just kind of sitting onto their butt, and then they're just waiting a specific time to, like, react or do, like, a
Mm.
move or try to pass. I haven't done gi competition in a long time, so I can't, like, make or break it anything or say anything good or bad. I'm just saying as a spectator, it I feel like jiu-jitsu hasn't really changed, and unfortunately, as the wrestler that comes out of me, I feel like it would just make it more exciting if they tried for a takedown. Whereas in no-gi, like, I would say, like, most no-gi tournaments, they want you to go for a takedown, like, ADCC is very exciting. When I was doing the tournament, like, I was really excited for it just because like, everyone's, like you can hear the crowd, like, parents and coaches, like, screaming, and I was like, "I've been dealing with this since I was 15 years old, like, being screamed at by coaches and parents, like, they don't scare me." But it's just that feeling, like, people watching and, like, you're competing. Um, I think that's kinda changed a little bit, but with gi, I think it just stays the same. I don't think it's gonna people people swear it's gonna grow, like, "Oh, there's a lot of people competing at Worlds." Yeah, but it's mostly, like, jiu-jitsu competitors. I don't think it's gonna be like a watching sport like CGI was or ADCC
Mm.
is or UFC, BJJ, like, I don't think it's gonna be, like, one of those things.
Yeah. And do you think there could be the possibility of maybe trying MMA down the track? Would that be something that would appeal to you?
For sure, like, before I retire, yes.
Yeah, yeah. You haven't had any
I can't
MMA fights,
say
have you?
no, but I can't say anything further than that, but definitely
Okay.
before I retire, jiu-jitsu, yes.
Yes. Yeah. Have you dabbled in a little bit of striking?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes, back at home. Not here, that's all. I mean, I only been doing jiu-jitsu in Texas, but,
Yeah.
back in, like, Jersey and Philly and New York, yes, with
Yeah.
striking.
And you've conducted a lot of seminars too. What do you like most about doing seminars?
Yeah, I was teaching seminars, like, probably, like, every month or every other month. I would say, like, it's kinda like just teaching class.
Hmm.
Excuse me. I've been talking, like, all day. I would say, like, just going around and teaching, like, people and, like, meeting different people all over the world. I only taught, like, 2 seminars, like, outside the US, but for the majority part, I just been teaching, like, in the US. Yeah, I mean, I've been doing it since, like, 2019 and kind of at a little bit after 2020, after COVID. Um, just kinda, like, teaching even, like, wrestling schools, like, I would teach, like, wrestling and teach jujitsu. Next year, I'm teaching at some, police academies. It's just so cool to have, like, that experience and, like, just meeting everyone from jujitsu, even, like, kids, because that's, like, how I started, so when I see, like, a 9-year-old, 10-year-old, I'm like, "Oh, that was me before," so
Yeah.
but now everyone has, like, a lot of access to jiu-jitsu now than I did back then.
Yeah. And you've taught
Excuse me.
kids classes too. How do you find teaching kids?
Oh, I love it, it's fun. Sometimes I like teaching kids classes more than the adults, if I have to be honest,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I don't have, like, an opinion, I think kids classes are more fun, and they're
Yeah.
funnier.
Yeah. You gotta I find with teaching kids too, Danielle, because I teach kids classes as well, you gotta keep it playful, keep it fun. But a lot of the games that I can sort of, incorporate with kids is kind of like disguised repetition. So games where like, I play this game called Dragon Tail, and that what they do is they stick a bit of rope in the back of their belt, and it works on their hand grip fighting, and they have to try and pull it out. And if they pull it out,
I
they have to
played
do
that as
10
a
push
kid.
ups.
Yes.
Yeah. But a lot of those games can be quite fun to incorporate even in adults' classes. What do you think?
Honestly, I think, it would keep adults staying in class because, like, as your kid, like, it was fun to you, and now, like maybe don't like, especially for hobbyists, they're spending their, like, work day or at home being serious, so why not just go to class and they have, like, a little fun. But also
Yeah,
too, I think, like, it depends what the class is, like, if you're in a basic class or, like, the advanced class, most advanced classes are, like, for the people that are competitors, and you don't wanna go against them because 'cause they'll just try to, like, hurt you. But I think,
yeah.
like, in, like, a introductory for, like, beginners to spar, that'd be, like, a good, like, game to play.
Yeah. And I've talked to some amazing individuals on the podcast, Danielle. I've had the pleasure of sitting down with Robert Drysdale. I had Roy Dean on the podcast. I had Jeff Glover. I had Jordan Worth just recently, who is a 10th Planet Jiu Jitsu black belt under Jake Shields. And I was talking to Jordan, even the possibility of him maybe coming over and doing some seminars. But would maybe Australia appeal to you to maybe do some seminars in the future?
For sure, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would love to visit Australia. I don't know
Yeah, we
too much
love.
about it.
Yeah.
I just know it's, like, really hot and there's a lot of sharks. And I stay away from the
Yeah,
sun on purpose, so
yeah.
yeah, I'm more scared of the sun.
The sun, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, we'd love to have you over here. And, we've had some amazing people come over and conduct seminars. But I'll see if I can maybe organize it in the future to try and link up. I think it would be amazing to get you down here and, conduct some seminars because I'm always trying to get more female students in the door. That's the hardest part. The hardest part for me as a coach is I want to be the best coach I can and give everyone as much value as possible. But it is quite difficult initially. But I think, yeah, it would be amazing to have you over here, Danielle.
No, I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, just let me
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
Like the
And
new
where can
year.
people? Sorry, what did you say?
Into the new year, I meant, like, next
Yeah.
year. Sorry.
And where can people find you, Danielle? Where are you most active? You're on Instagram, social media. If they want to maybe reach out and book in a seminar or a private lesson, what can they do?
Yeah, Instagram's mostly, like, my business account, so I just do jiu-jitsu stuff on there. Instagram, even Facebook actually too. Facebook is mostly, like, where my family's at and, like, mostly, like, older people, but yeah, they
Yeah,
can reach me from Facebook or, Danielle Kelly BJJ on both of them, so
yeah. Amazing,
I just said
Danielle.
Facebook's for old people.
Yeah, well, it's true. A lot of older people do use Facebook. Yeah, I have noticed that as well.
Yeah, as all my family uses Facebook, so I just call them old.
Yeah, yeah. And what's happening for you next year? Have you got anything exciting coming up?
Oh, I can't say that yet.
Okay, yeah,
It's
it's
still,
all
like, in the
disclosed.
works. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so watch this space.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Danielle, thank you so much. It's been an honor to sit down and have a chat with you. I'm a huge fan of yours and what you've done for jiu-jitsu. And just I think you're a fantastic spokesperson for a lot of women as well to try jiu-jitsu. But it was such an honor to sit down and have a chat with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me on here. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Danielle.